What is going on, troopers? Got a fun one today. So I was scrolling through the headlines and saw this pop up on to my feed. Mark Zuckerberg going full anti-censorship, following in Elon and X's lead. I think the headline was saying that he was putting Dana White on the board at Meta, and you might be wondering, what does this have to do with fitness? This used to be a Star Wars lore channel. We do Star Wars workouts. What's going on here? I promise you, I'm going to land this thing smoother than Obi-Wan and Anakin landing the ship in Revenge of the Sith. So, what does this have to do with fitness? Well, 4 years ago, Meta, Instagram, Facebook was very censored, right? We think back to the pandemic. So many things could get you banned, could get you kicked off. You could upload a meme saying that Master Swolda and Master Kenobi were at the dojo working out, and it would get flagged. Now he's changing his complete perspective from a company standpoint, but also from his value standpoint. And what I find really interesting with this is that during the pandemic, he started getting into martial arts. I was reading a little article here, just doing a little research on this. Uh, he was doing a story with Spotify CEO Daniel Ek, and they were talking about martial arts. When you go into a competition, you're not fighting another person, you're fighting yourself. You're trying to be the best version of yourself. To some degree, MMA is the perfect thing because if you stop paying attention for 1 second, you're going to end up on the bottom. And I don't do martial arts. I did it for a time a few years ago, and I've just always had kind of an athlete background, but I love what it teaches because it is a meditative practice, even though it is very physical and it is combative. You have to be present. You have to be focused on where the grip's being held, where you're positioned. Because if you're not, you end up on the bottom in this particular case. And so anyway, Zuck spent a lot of time rolling with different dudes, literally and figuratively, and went from this guy who was all about censorship and really had his entire business wrapped up in the system, which I'm going to get to in a second, the system of the US government and how it wants to control people. But he found himself in that system. He found his company in that system. He started hanging out with different people. His views, his belief, and ultimately his identity changed. And now everything he's in control of, being one of the biggest companies in the world, is changing in tow. And so, one of the things that I found really interesting as I was going through it and researching this is that he's putting Dana White on the board of directors. And like Dana White has, I don't know his background. Obviously, it's in MMA, but that obviously is someone who has had a big impact on him. And I'm going to get to, like I said, landing this in a second. But so many of you, today is the second day for many of you starting your workout programs. And so many of you are going to start your journey and fall short. You're going to start working out, and your buddy that you go to the gym with or your accountability partner is going to say, "Hey, I didn't make it today." And you're going to say, "Yeah, I'm going to skip too." Or even worse, they're going to say, "Hey, don't go to the gym. Let's go get beers instead." And this isn't anything against beers, but when you extrapolate out individual habits over years, you end up getting the result where you look in the mirror and you're not happy with yourself. And it's all based off of tiny little small actions. And so Dana White and Mark Zuckerberg rolling and doing martial arts now impacting really the landscape of the political, the social media climate, all started with having someone hold him to a different standard and give him different values, give him different interests. And so when it comes to a fitness standpoint, who you surround yourself with is everything. And if you find yourself looking around at who you spend the most time with, who you talk the most with, who you work out the most with, and whatever, and you're not inspired by them, guess what? You're the tide. And what I mean by that is you're either the moon or the tide in relationships. The moon pulls the tide pulls the moon. And if you look at who you're surrounded with, who you compare yourself to, you're never going to outpace that because humans are tribal and humans want to fit in with who they are comparing themselves to. And it works kind of to your positive and to your negative. I just onboarded a client. He said, I look around my coworkers and I'm just like, man, I do not want to end up like this. And so he's prioritizing his health to make sure that he doesn't end up with all the health concerns and the lack of mobility that his coworkers that are 40 and 50 do. But on the same time, you might be looking at your coworkers and they're like, hey, yo, let's go get some pizza for lunch. Hey, yo, let's go get some drinks after that. Hey, yo, skip the gym. Let's stay up. Let's play video games till 2 a.m. Right. And all those things in moderation are not bad. But if you're not getting the results that you want in life, those are the things that are holding you back. I hate to break it to you. And so you just got to ask yourself, are you set up from an environment standpoint to be successful? Because the default environment, the system that Mark Zuckerberg found himself in, or I'll share screen again, system that this guy found himself in from a Facebook standpoint and a Meta and Instagram. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't get mad that I'm talking about another platform. Uh, the system from a government standpoint wants to control. They wanted to control him and they want to control you. They want to get you hopped up on a bunch of prescriptions. They want to get you addicted to social media. They want to get you addicted to things that are going to take your time, take your energy, make you sick, make you unhealthy, because then they can sell you the short term fix, the short term cure, which is a little bit more dopamine, which is just one more pill. And then all of a sudden, that pharmaceutical industry, that healthcare industry in the US that is $40 trillion just gets their pockets fatter. And it's impossible for you to break free from this system until you decide, I'm going to buck the system and go in a opposite direction of what everything else is telling me to do. And so I just see this with, from a Mark Zuckerberg standpoint, political affiliates aside or allegiances aside, if you put yourself in a completely different environment, you will adapt to that environment. And so what you got to be able to ask yourself is the current environment that I'm in going to cause me adapt to grow, or going to cause me to stay the same? And if you stay the same, you're not growing. You're probably going backward in the opposite direction. And it's just a matter of time until things get worse. And this was the point I was talking about in the video yesterday. It's not that bad. Starts out as it's not that bad until it's that bad. So you really got to just look at your environment. And it's not just your friends. Well, who and what do you follow on social media? What do you listen to from a podcast standpoint? What are you reading? What kind of even music are you listening to? Like, all of this is coming into your brain, and that is your information diet. Same way as the food you put in your body is your nutritional diet. And so plug yourself into a completely different system. You will get a completely different result. This is why I created Fit Nerd Academy. If you're interested in getting surrounded by Star Wars nerds who are fit, who are working towards their purpose, getting fit for the Republic as their country, their community, their family, there's going to be a link down below in the comments. You can grab some time to talk through your fitness goals and see how we can help you achieve that. And if you want to just keep using videos on this channel, awesome, keep doing that. But again, you've got to get yourself in a different system if you want different results. Look at what you're surrounded by. If that doesn't inspire you, you are the tide. If you want to be the moon and inspire others, you got to get around other moons who are going to inspire you to grow and get better. That's it for this video. I'll catch you guys on the next Trooper Transmission. This is CT 3939.